What's up, everybody? Another video I'm incredibly excited to share. I am now 8 weeks post-op, doing incredibly well still, and something that I think will really help you guys is showing my PT and exercise routine. Physical therapy and exercise is so important to me. I worked in a physical therapy practice for over 2 years. I went back to school to become a physical therapist before even learning that I had Scheuermanns disease. I just had a lot of pain that I was dealing with. So I tried to really study my body from a therapy and exercise perspective. It's always been incredibly important to me, and I knew right when I got on the other side of the surgery, having spent 2 years teaching the movements to other people through their surgeries, I knew I would know what to do, have the precision to do it, have the mindset to do it right, and now I'd like to share that with you guys because the results are going so well and I feel so strong. So when I do my abdominals, which is where I'm going to start for the exercise program, when I first got home, and still mostly to this day, the abdominal work that I do is on my mattress, so that's where I'm going to start. So I start by putting my pillow here. I do my log roll onto my back, reposition myself so I'm straight. When I was first post-op, I was not moving that quickly. Now that I'm 8 weeks, I'm able to do that a lot more quicker and comfortably. So, where I start, the first motion to do is called a posterior pelvic tilt. What this does is laying on your back with your knees up and your feet flat on the bed. What you're going to do is try and drive your belly button down into the mattress. That is going to engage your abdominals, and it's going to roll your pelvis and flatten your lower back. This decompresses the discs of the lumbar spine, engages the abdominals, takes pressure off the lower back, and is a great way, with everything else completely relaxed, to engage the abdominals. I'm going to do a few of them where I hold for 3 seconds at the bottom. That's one. You might be able to see my hips shifting a little bit. I've had a lumbar fusion in the past, so my lower back is already flat. You may not see it move much. It's a very subtle movement and engagement of the core. That is always where I start. Build on that. You can engage the core, suck the belly button down towards the ground, and then take your hands and push and try and pop the mattress and hold it for 3 to 5 seconds and slowly release. We don't want you to just let go and spring back up. Slowly engage and slowly release post-op. That is the first series of movements that I do to engage my core. The next thing I do is I grab these 3-pound weights. I was able to do this with 3-pound weights the first time I tried it after surgery, and still to this day I don't even do it with 5 pounds. I've stuck at 3 pounds because it works and feels good for me. You hold them up towards the sky. You bring one arm to the side. You have a soft elbow, so you're not totally flexed. You're not actively bending the elbow. You should have a soft elbow that stays soft the whole time. So both hands up, soft elbows. I'm going to drop my right hand slowly while trying to maintain the place of my left hand without moving it, and bring it back up. Your goal is to control the movement of the weight down and up while also stabilizing the hand in the air. When you do this exercise, you are working the stabilizers on one side of your abdominals and working your muscles through motion on the other side. I never do these at the same time. That is not the point of this. That is more of a chest exercise. This is for the abdominals and is worked unilaterally. Again, focusing on stabilizing and working through motion. Another variation to this exercise is taking the weights and going up and down. A third ab exercise that I do is called marches. I'll sit on my hands a little bit. I'll roll onto them, engage the pelvis into that posterior pelvic tilt, and just bring one knee up at a time. Hold it for 2 or 3 seconds, and back down. I'm not straightening my leg at all. I'm just using my lower abdominals to pull my knee towards my chest. Not going too far of a range of motion, just feeling the muscle work and activate. You could put a band around your feet and do this so that it's held here and here so there's resistance. Or if you want to work your way up to it, you could put both your feet up and drop one knee down at a time. Again, this is never something that we're doing with both legs. We're working unilaterally to stabilize on one side and work through motion on the other. These are the exercises that I do on my mattress, so feel free to give these a try out. These should not cause pain because the rest of your spine should be relaxed. They should allow you to focus individually on your core, and when you're ready for it, you can try doing some of these motions I'm about to show you, engaging some of your abdominals in other positions. So a way that I engage my core while seated is to sit on the edge of a chair. I hold the ends just to feel a little bit balanced. I'm not gripping, but I'm making sure something's there. And I just lift one knee at a time. I'm able to go maybe 4 to 6 inches off the ground now. It was probably 1 inch to start. And I'm just engaging my core. And just like I mentioned with the band earlier, I wanted to show you guys what I meant. I put the band around both feet, and just like when you're marching, if you have that separate a little bit and try and bring one knee up, you have some resistance on that band. And that will work the core. The seated abdominal exercises with the marching, I started doing about a week after surgery. Through the first week when I got home, everything I did was on the mattress. 7 to 10 days after, I was able to transition and do some things standing that I'm about to show you, as well as that seated exercises. So, for standing, one thing that you can do for your obliques is called a farmer's carry. So, as heavy of a weight as you feel like carrying, imagine I'm holding a 10-pound weight, and you just hold it along your side, and you just walk like you're a farmer holding the barrel. You want one arm swinging naturally while the other one stabilizes. Then switch and walk the other way. You could do this with any type of weight up until the weight restriction given by your doctor. At around the 1 month mark, and when I started really building some confidence, I said to myself, I think I can do a plank. So I started trying it, and I have slowly been building back the time that I've been able to plank, but I do want to show you to help build the confidence of everyone else. At just over 8 weeks, it's pretty easy for me to get into a plank. To get into a side plank, and to move through that. I was doing this a lot before surgery, controlling my movements. It might take you some time to build up the control to do that like I am, but it certainly can be done. I am just over 8 weeks and feel totally comfortable doing that. So those are a bunch of abdominal exercises I do, and the progression of getting from simplest to hardest. Through all of these exercises, I know I didn't give any sets and reps for anything, and I'm not going to, because that's up to you and your body, especially in these first few weeks post-op. What I would recommend, and the way that I generally approach things, is I set a timer and I say to myself, I'm going to work really slowly through this motion, and the reason why I do everything unilaterally, which means one side at a time, is so that I can completely pay attention. So for example, shoulders, I can completely pay attention to the motion of my right shoulder and take the time, and then I can completely pay attention to the motion of my left shoulder and take the time to do that as well. So everything is unilateral. I'm really trying to work with precision through the motions, trying to control all the different muscles involved, strengthening each individual part. I'm not going crazy range of motion, and I'm not going for crazy reps or strength or anything. It's really all about precision. So when I start with shoulders, the first exercise that I did and was absolutely my favorite thing to do post-op is called the Itsy Bitsy Spider. And you take your hand, you put your fingers on the wall, and just like Itsy Bitsy Spider called up a water spout, you crawl your fingers up the wall. You will be surprised how far you are able to get up the wall. And then you could stay up the top while this is nice, relaxed, and lengthened. And take some deep breaths. And slowly bring it back down. I was doing this both sides a few times a day. When I was doing that, I could tell you guys, I would only do like 2, maybe 3 repetitions of it really slowly and carefully before I was like, wow, I feel good and tired, and that worked. The next exercise that I do immediately after post-op was Ys, like this. These are shoulder Ys. These are working in the direction of the muscle fibers in your shoulder and your upper back. So this is a really good direction to work. That's not going to, make muscle fibers feel off going this way or a little weird going completely out to the side. So when I first got home from surgery, I was doing this weightless, and I could only get up to here. But that didn't mean I wouldn't do it 10 times. A few days later, I was getting to here, and then my arms would start shaking and back down. And I would notice my shoulders would hike up. I would have to say, okay, relax them and stay here. And then I started to say, okay, I don't feel like I can go all the way, but this range of motion is starting to feel pretty easy. And I grabbed a weight. This is an ankle weight, but it doesn't matter. I just wrapped around my wrist, and I was only going to here and down. And then slowly I was able to get it up to here. And then eventually I was able to get my whole arm without a weight up to here. And eventually where I'm at now, this is all I have in the apartment, but at the gym there's 8-pound weights, like that. You can, when you feel comfortable, start working the I direction. This is an I, this is a Y, because if you were doing it with both hands, that's the letter it would look like, and this is a T. So, again, unilaterally working, I's, Y's, and I'm feeling the motion of my shoulder through it all. I'm trying not to move other areas of my body to compensate. So, make sure your weight's not shifting. That's obviously a big exaggeration. Make sure your neck's not looking up as you do it. So what you want to do is keep the core a little bit engaged. Just try and move only through the shoulder. If the shoulder stops moving, that's where you stop. Eventually I got to start to do overhead presses. And I started adding weight to that motion as well. Starting to be a little bit more advanced of a shoulder motion is you take a band, you step on one side, the opposite side, and you act like you're pulling your sword out of your pocket. This is called D2 extension. If you have a way of putting it in a door, you can take it from up top like a seat belt and put it back in. Fasten your seat belt. This is called D2 flexion. So for my hips and my lower body, the first motion that I did in my bed was the clamshell, which focuses on your adductors and your glutes. So what you do, make sure your heels are in line with your butt. engage your core a little bit and lift one knee so that your heel goes perpendicular to your other heel. Hold it at the top for a few seconds and come back down. If you feel your body start to turn, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to demonstrate incorrectly after surgery, but if you feel like when you lift your knee, your body starts to turn too, you've gone too far. Stay here and control this movement as far as it goes in that range. If it's just a here, that's fine, as long as you could feel that glute squeezing. The next motion that I do after the clamshell is straightening out the leg on top, keeping the bottom leg where it was, making my foot parallel to the ground and lifting the leg and holding it for a few seconds. This is a side-lying hip adduction. You should feel a burn right here, and between doing this and the clamshell on both sides, when you get back up, you will say, whoa, I feel pretty balanced on my feet. It's a pretty great feeling when you feel these both burning. Exercise that you can do while standing is to get on any, I'm using a yoga block here, but really just use any elevated surface. I really think a staircase and a handrail is the best form. I don't have that here in a one-story, flat apartment. So I use a yoga block and the wall. But really what you're doing is slight bend in the knee that's on the stair or block, straighten knee on the one that's below, kick forward, side, and back. And only go as far as what your range of motion allows. See how little back, that's as far as I feel comfortable doing right now. Those are called steamboats. You can do those on both sides. This exercise works predominantly the hip that's not moving if you do this correctly, because you're working to stabilize on your left hip while the right hip moves. You can even add a band like I used before around your ankles and do that motion with the band on the feet. Is an absolute burner for the hips. You put the band around your ankles. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. If you had a lot more space, this would be great. I literally take this band outside and do it on city blocks. And you just step to the side and join it. For this one, you want to make sure your upper body's not rocking into it. You don't want to be swaying with it. You want to be stable, set, step, join. Stable, set, step, join. For that one, you go back and forth again. Hips should feel a great burn after that. The most advanced motion that I'm doing currently for my legs is a split squat or a lunge. For that, I get one foot in front of the other. I try and go down, I'm going to flip the other way so you guys can see better. I try and go down halfway between, so I'm not going too far over my right foot. I'm not going too far over my back left leg. I'm going to go right back down in between and back up. I'm pressing through both legs to get myself back up. I'll do about 8 to 10 reps on both sides, maybe 2 or 3 sets. You can't really demonstrate this one or do it too slowly for a time limit, because you would risk falling if you lose balance here, and certainly we don't want to do that post-op. So do 6 reps, do 8 reps, slowly build on what you can do, whatever you feel comfortable with. Again, if you have a stairwell, do it near the stairwell so you have a handrail. This would be a great idea. Another motion that I want to show you guys that I'm able to do is push-ups. I've seen a lot of posts on the Facebook Scheuermanns group and a lot of places, and people hesitant to do push-ups post-surgery and say they can never do push-ups again. I actually was scared of this and loved doing push-ups pre-surgery, that actually said to my doctor when I was in nothing but the robe, had the IV in my arm, the anesthesiologist, the doctor, my surgeon, the head nurse, and my mom in the pre-op room waiting to wheel me in. My back had his signature for the incision, and I said, "Doc, this might sound crazy, but do you mind if I do 30 push-ups right now?" And he looked at me, he's just like, and mind you, this was like 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and he looked at me, he was just like, sure, yeah, why not, go for it. And you know those gowns are completely open to the back, and I had no clothes underneath it, but I figured out my mom was here and she's seen everything back there, and all these people are gonna see whatever's back there when they knock me out in 2 minutes. So I got on the ground, butt completely exposed, IV in my arm, and just as I can do post-op, that was 15. I assume you don't want to watch all 30, but I could still do it. Super proud of myself. You can too. I am not like a crazy fitness guy. I'm just someone who's been in physical therapy for a while, many times, and said to myself, even though it doesn't help with the pain, I know it's going to pay off in the end, in the long run. When I'm older, my muscles are going to be stronger. Whenever I had a huge surgery that I didn't know was coming, my muscles were ready for it. So I think some of the reason why I'm doing so well is because of the way I prepared my body pre-surgery and the way I've completely attacked it post-surgery. My hamstrings are still really tight. Scheuermanns people know that your hamstrings are really tight. Well, my thoracic was fixed, but that doesn't mean my pelvis wasn't, unwound and everything. So my hamstrings have been tight for my entire life, and they still are very tight now, especially because I walk and I can't really stretch that much. It's very hard to stretch post-op because you can't bend or twist. You don't want to really push your range of motion. So if you do feel tight and like you want to stretch, the best thing that you can do for yourself is hydrate. Eat healthy foods that are high in things like magnesium and potassium, which are natural muscle relaxers. For example, a banana a day is fantastic for muscle spasms. A magnesium supplement is a great natural supplement to deal with muscle spasms if you don't like. Personally, I do have muscle relaxers, but when I take one, they make me incredibly tired. So a banana is something, and a huge glass of water and some strengthening exercises. If I do that and I wait an hour versus if I take a muscle relaxer and I wait an hour, the results are pretty similar. So I choose to put in the work, and it's rapidly improving where I'm at. Obviously, COVID's still going on. There's a lot of shutdowns, quarantines, places aren't open, everyone's working from home. I have 1,000,001 endless time, and I have endless time in the day anyways because of the back surgery and everyone knowing that I'm in recovery. I don't have really places to go or people to see unless it's for my physical therapist or a friend coming to take a walk with me. So I really have the time to devote to my body every day like I need to, and I'm really I think I've taken 2 days off in the whole 8 weeks from doing any exercises or any movements, and those were after days where I just totally busted it and was just finally really sore. And I said, okay, I want to let my muscles repair before I go back to work tomorrow. So even in my day off, it was a reason for success and recovery and not wanting to overdo it. So you should never want to overdo it, especially with range of motion, some of these exercises. Just stick to what you can do. Strengthen, strengthen, strengthen. Watch your symptoms dissipate. Expect some of these symptoms to come on and know when they do. The last thing I want to say, the best stretch you can do. They probably gave you one of these in the hospital. What are they called? I don't know what this device is called, but they gave it to you when I'm in the hospital. In the middle side, we have the scale of inspired volume, which means your lung capacity and how much air you're breathing in. On this side, we have best, better, and good. This measures the speed of which you're breathing in. If you're breathing in too fast, it's only good to get that much oxygen in. It is best to breathe in slowly and get as much oxygen in as you can. So I will show you where I am currently at. Exhale completely. So, the highest I've gotten this thing post-op is to about the 3,500 mark when I've gone really slow and done it really well. If you start opening up your oxygen, you don't really need to do this with the toy. You could say, oh, I think that's stupid. And you could just go, hold it in for a few seconds. And then exhale so fully that your abdominals start engaging. This is a fantastic stretch for your ribs, for your back muscles, for your stomach and your digestive system to get everything open and moving. This is directly the area that just underwent the trauma. It will help oxygenate the tissues. If there's any one exercise that you should be actively doing all the time, it's taking a minute and taking some deep, deep breaths, holding them in and breathing them out slowly and fully. It is one of the, I sometimes am walking on the street and start and making all these noises with my breath because I'm doing it as I walk, and these people on the street are like, "Is he okay?" I don't really care what they think. I'll never see them again. I just want to breathe and feel that stretch. So, I hope this video helped you. Definitely work on your muscles. Don't judge where you're at versus where I'm at. We had different surgeries. Probably mine was started at T5, so some of the shoulder motions were easier for me instead of going up to T2. Mine stopped at L1, so some of the hip stuff was maybe easier, but also maybe harder because I had a L3, L4 fusion previously. So like, don't compare. We're not apples to apples here, but what the important part is, take the progression of these movements, do them slowly with time. You see I'm standing on my left foot. Do them slowly with time. Practice, practice, practice. Watch yourself gain and become stronger. When you feel ready for it, move to the next one in the progression. When you feel ready for it, move on again. I'm going to keep doing videos. The next video that I'm going to do, as promised, is about the mental aspect and the mental toll of Scheuermanns disease. And I'm also going to do one about post-surgery diet and food regimen very specifically, because that's another reason why I've been crushing it. So I hope to see you guys soon. If you have any questions, reach out to me at healwithmike@gmail.com. I hope I can help you through your surgery, because watching videos has been the most helpful thing for me through mine.